How's it everyone, Grant here, welcome back to the channel. And Android Oreo has finally hit the LG G6, at least the Korean version, specifically the Korea Telecom version, which is what I have here. And so I know everyone's talking about Android P, but since I just got Oreo not too long ago on the G6 and I've been using it here just to get a feel for it, I thought I'd at least in this video give you my impressions of it. I'll run through some of the differences that I'm noticing in the settings, as well as some of my favorite Oreo features. I'll also talk about the camera, and I'll show you some photos so you can see what the photos now look like on Oreo. People seem to like that. I'll also talk about my experience with performance and battery life as well. So let's kind of just get into it and unlock the phone here, and we'll go into settings. I'll go into system and about, and we'll go and look at the software information. So you can see there, Android 8.0 with the April 1st security patch. And so I can actually go in here, and that's the Android 8.0 Easter egg right there. And we're gonna go ahead and unlock that octopus thing. And so unfortunately it's not Android 8.1, but at least it's Oreo running on the G6. And let's go ahead and look through some of the settings. And I'll talk through the ones that at least I'm finding different. But of course, if I don't mention ones that you're finding on your G6 running Oreo, let me know in the comments, because that also helps other people out. So first things first, in the display, let's go into home screen. And with Oreo, we have these icon shapes, and by default, you get these rounded squares or squircles. And so here, if you don't like those icon shapes, you can go ahead and change it back to the original or any of these other shapes here. I personally prefer the original icon shapes. And then next, themes. Now this is not new, but I did reset it back to the default theme just so you can see what it looks like at default. I do like this black theme. So if you like dark themes, that black theme is a pretty good one. So I just thought I'd call that out here. And then we can go into home touch buttons. And so if you go into home touch here, here's where you can kind of permanently set the home touch buttons, as well as set whichever apps you want to use it. And what that is basically being able to remove the navigation buttons from the screen to maximize screen real estate. So for example, I have it enabled in Twitter. So now you see that dot in the bottom left. If I go ahead and hit that dot, you can see the navigation bar disappeared. If you want to get it back, you can just swipe up. And if you want to keep it there again, just tap the dot and it locks the navigation bar back in place. So that's what the home touch buttons are, and that's where you can permanently enable it, as well as in which apps you want that functionality. And then we go into always on display. I'm not sure if anything's changed here. I don't really remember it that well because it has not been my permanent device, but I have been using it for the last several days. So if you notice anything here in always on display, and I can go into the settings, if you notice anything different here, I've got it set to my signature where you can add kind of whatever you want there. I've got my username on my home screen. But if you notice anything here, let me know. I'm not really noticing anything different there. And then if you go here into comfort view, so this is your night mode. So I don't believe you could schedule it before. So that's where you can now turn it on and off automatically. And if you want to see what it looks like, again, it's just your night mode. So it'll change the tint of your display to ease the eye strain at night. And you can go ahead and change that to how warm or how cool you want that if you use night mode. I personally don't do it, but if you want to auto schedule it, that's where you can do it right now. And then next we can go into extensions, and I believe they've added this gaming mode here, so gaming tools. So if you like to play a lot of games and you want access to some specific additional menu options, you can go ahead and do it there. Some other devices have this kind of a game menu or game tool kind of a feature, and so LG's added it here in their extensions. And then if we go into apps and notifications here, head into notifications, here's where the icon badge is in. So now with Oreo, you get the notification badges there in your icons. If you don't like that, that's where you can go ahead and actually turn it off now. And that's pretty much all the settings changes that I've noticed with Android Oreo on the G6. Again, if you know of any others, let me know in the comment section, because it does help other people as well. And here is the stock launcher, and I'm not really a fan of the LG stock launcher, but I just thought I'd show it to you because with Oreo, you do get these quick shortcut menus on the icons. So if you long press an icon, you'll get some of the shortcuts there if the app does support it. And then other changes with Android Oreo is to their stock camera app. So if I launch that, they've changed their look and feel of the stock camera app here. No portrait mode, so if I enable the modes there, you can see what kind of modes you get on the camera app now. I don't see any addition of portrait mode, which is, I think a lot of people were hoping for, and so sadly they didn't add that. Here's what some of the settings look like here on the camera. I'm not noticing dramatic differences here, but you let me know if you're seeing any kind of differences on this menu system. But if you don't like the results that you were getting out of your stock camera app, you can add the Google Camera app. So here's a Google Camera APK, and it does work. You can see there, it's got the HDR Plus feature that makes it so great. And then of course you do have portrait mode here. And if you want to know what version I'm running, this is the version of the Google camera that I'm running. So it's been working pretty well with the G6 for me, and it's been producing pretty good results. So I'll go ahead and show you some photo samples from both the stock camera app and the Google camera app, so you can judge for yourself if you notice any quality increase. I'm not really seeing any better quality from the stock camera app, but the Google Camera app does add that cool portrait mode. And let me know if you see any differences between the photos. So I'll go ahead and show you some of those samples right now. Okay, so let me know what you thought about those photos that I took with the stock app and the Google Camera app in the comments, if you noticed any kind of a difference and which ones you preferred. But other questions that people probably have is about performance. And so I'm not really noticing any kind of performance difference here running Android Oreo. It hasn't been sluggish at all, which is good. I'm not really noticing any kind of speed increases either. And if I'm being honest, the 821 here, the Snapdragon 821 SoC and the G6 is starting to show its age. It's not slow by any means. And I think if this is my only phone, I'd be perfectly happy with the performance. It's pretty quick and snappy, as you can see here. The only thing is that when I touch an icon to launch an app, I notice some delays sometimes. And so that's noticeable, and I can really feel that delay. Just because I've been using a lot of the latest phones with the Snapdragon 845, like the Galaxy S9 Plus. And so going back to the G6 with the 821, it's feeling a little bit of its age. It's, again, by no means slow. So just to clear that up. But the good news here is I'm not really seeing any kind of slowdown from Oreo. But again, I'm not really noticing any kind of big performance boosts either. But as you can see here, just everyday use and just kind of moving between all the apps and doing some multitasking here, I'm not really seeing a lot of slowdown. It's pretty fast and pretty fluid. If I go into an app like Twitter here, I can go ahead and do some scrolling. And as you can see here, it's fairly smooth. Maybe a little bit of stuttering, but there's gonna be a lot of phones that do that with just all the content that's on Twitter right now. But really nothing that is really ruining my experience here on the G6. And then lastly, about battery life, people like to know, am I getting better or worse battery life on Oreo? You would expect to get better battery life, but pretty much on any phone that I have Oreo on, I'm really experiencing no battery gains, or if anything, it performs a little bit worse, at least for me. And the G6 seems to be no exception. Before the Oreo update, I was getting anywhere between 5 and 6 hours of screen on time, which is still more than enough to get me through a day. But here on the Oreo update, I've been getting consistently about 4 hours of screen on time max. And so as you can see here, I've barely been using it today, but it's about 70%. I've got it just over an hour of usage. So this is gonna be maybe just over 4 hours of screen on time, depending on what I do with the device. And if I'm using Wi-Fi or mobile, of course, but it's pretty much on track for about 4 hours, or a little over 4 hours of screen on time again. And so every day that I've used this, I've gotten about 4 hours. I'm probably showing you some screenshots of that right now. But yeah, that's pretty much been my experience here using the G6 running Oreo. Just barely 4 hours of screen on time, which is not very good. That does not get me through a whole day and night. It gets me through a day and most of my night, at least especially on the work week when I'm not using it heavily. But that's a bit concerning to at least me. If you're getting better battery life using Oreo, let me know. I really want to see if it's just me or other people as well. I have done a factory reset on it and it's still performing the same for me. So that's just my experience running Oreo on the G6 here. So I want to hear from other people. If you've got the Oreo update on G6, let me know, because that also will help out other people to hear kind of what other people's experiences been like running Oreo, especially with battery performance. And so that's going to do it. That is my experience with Android Oreo, all the changes that I noticed. Not a lot of changes here on the G6, a little bit disappointing. I think a lot of people were hoping for more features to be added that bring it on par with some of the LG V30 features. But sadly, LG did not port any of that stuff over here to the G6. You just got pretty much the basic features that Android Oreo provides, like your picture-in-picture, password autofills. You saw some of the minor setting changes, and not really getting a whole lot to me, but that's pretty much like any other device, like I said before, running Android Oreo. It adds a few features that are nice to have, but nothing that are must-haves for me, and really nothing mind-blowing. And especially with battery life, if you need that, you may not want to upgrade. So If you have any other questions or comments, concerns, let me know in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to answer the questions that I can about this. And so that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Let me know if you want to see anything else about Android Oreo on the G6. But otherwise, thanks for watching, everyone.